As the title of this video suggests, yeah, I pulled off the impossible, shooting and editing a music video in just 2 days. And you're probably thinking to yourself, how'd you do it? Well, it all comes down to pre-production. Let's talk about that. So pre-production is something that I personally feel like is overseen a lot by new and upcoming filmmakers, and that's totally okay. Years ago when I started out doing music videos, I did the same thing. I would always just skip the pre-production, just have like a general idea of what I wanted to shoot and just go for it. And come to think of it, that's probably why a lot of my videos sucked. But over the years, I learned the importance about pre-production, and I kind of want to explain to you why it is so important when it comes to not only music videos, but to all of your productions. When it comes to pre-production for music videos, you need to keep a few things in mind. You need your concept, your location, your gear, your timesheets, and your edit. And these things are just like a base level of where to start for your production. Like obviously on top of that, you might have makeup and wardrobe and set design and a range of different other things when it comes to higher end productions, but for the most part you're probably just going to be dealing with these core elements. As I'm explaining these steps, I'll have the music video playing on the screen just so you can see how the steps that I've taken applied to this project. So let's talk about concept. Now, of course, your project needs a concept. You can't just show up to a location, shooting blind and just hoping you can just string it together in post. Well, actually, come to think of it, you probably could do that, but you'll end up with a really poor looking product. Again, I've been guilty of this in the past, but I want to tell you these things today so you can avoid making these mistakes. The name of this song was called Dreamers, so the concept that I came up with were a whole bunch of different setups that would kind of show the audience what, daydreaming might look like. I didn't just want to have one setup as like a daydreaming kind of thing or like a storyline. When you're daydreaming, you're probably thinking of a million different other things, so that's what I kind of wanted to show in this video. You can see that there's a lot going on here, and you might be thinking to yourself that I shot this at multiple locations, and I don't blame you. I probably would be thinking the same as well, but this was actually all one location. I was extremely fortunate enough to find a space that had everything that I needed to achieve for this video. To find this location, I just jumped on a directory website that listed a whole bunch of different locations, and I searched for multi-use location. Now, I came across a whole bunch of spaces that had 2 or 3 different setups in a single room, but I wanted something more, and I was very fortunate when I came across this location that it had, backdrops, and it had a white cyc wall, and it had a living room kind of area, and a kitchen, and this other like dance floor-y kind of space. When I went to scout this particular location, it got me really excited for the project. I found a space that made it look like I was using a whole bunch of different locations, but it was just all there in the one area. And this goes to the importance of using every single bit of your location to make your music videos more exciting. When I started out doing music videos, I would just get the band in one area up against one wall or one kind of space and just shot them there, and I just didn't move them at all. And this is fine when you're starting out, but as you grow as a director, you want your work to grow, of course. So if you just utilize every inch of the location that you're at, it'll make the video more exciting. It makes it look like it's progressing a bit, and overall you'll get just such a better product. I can assure you, if you just use every inch of the space that you're shooting at, your videos will just look so much better. When it came to the camera equipment side of this shoot, I'm very fortunate that I own the FS7, which I'm filming on now, and I also have a great set of primes, a 20, 35, 50, and 85. That really covers me for pretty much every project that I shoot on. Now, you might be thinking this being like, well, of course it looks great. You shot on like, a $10,000 camera with, lenses that are a couple of grand themselves, but you don't need that high-end gear to achieve something of a similar look. If you own more of a budget-friendly camera, you can achieve a very similar look, and it all just really comes down to lighting. If you don't know already, lighting is really, really vital when it comes to your project, and it can make just your budget-friendly camera look like you're shooting really high-end productions if you just know how to light a scene properly. When it came to the lighting for this video, I used a lot of aperture lights, and I know they're like everywhere and everyone's kind of like an aperture fanboy, but really for what you get, like the quality of the light and for the price point, how could you not be a fanboy? So I rented out a 300D, which was used as like my main key light, and then I had 2 120D Mark IIs. That's a really hard sentence to say, to light everything else around the scene. And of course I had different diffusers for it. I had like the mini dome and like the big dome, just to get like a various spread of light throughout all my scenes. And with these 3 lights, I was able to get a lot of different looks. You know, that's the joy of when you have a powerful LED light that's got like, you know, different dimmable sources, and you know, you can put in different presets like paparazzi and lightning, and you have all these different, you know, shaping tools for your lights. You can get a lot of looks just out of only a couple of these apertures. Now let's move on to timesheets. And no, I'm not talking about the ones where you schedule your video, but I will talk about those in a second. I'm talking about the ones where you break down your scenes into certain parts of the song. It's kind of like a script, I guess. So with this video, what we did is I said, all right, the intro of the video would be in front of these multicolored backdrops. And then, you know, we're gonna move on to this couch scene for verse 1. And then the pre-chorus is like the checkered area. And I could go on for ages, but you can see what I mean. These timesheets really help you pull your concept down onto paper and just more visualize what you're actually going to be shooting. That way you're not wasting people's time on set. You know, time is your most valuable asset while you're shooting. You don't want to be going over time too much, because that way the artist gets exhausted and they're not into it as much. So it's really important to stick with your timesheets. The last part with timesheets is actually really help scheduling your shoot. You know, take this for example, we had noise restrictions, so we couldn't shoot any of the drum scenes until after 6 p.m. So I scheduled all the other scenes to shoot in chronological order, aside from the drum ones. And then after it came to 6 p.m, I think we started shooting at like 6:30 for all the drum things. We just shot out the rest of the scenes and we were wrapped up by about, I don't know, I think 9 o'clock, something like that. So again, it's a really good guide when it just comes to scheduling out your day. So after about 8 hours, we were wrapped, and we only went over time by about 45 minutes, which I was actually really stoked on. When you're doing low budget music videos, it's quite common that you're gonna go over time because you're wearing a lot of hats. You can't afford the crew that you need. So please keep that in mind when it comes to your music videos. Now it's time to move on to the edit. So with the FS7, they have massive 4K files. So it's really important to set up proxies when it comes to your editing. Just makes everything so much easier. Proxies, if you don't know, are just like a smaller version of the actual files you shoot. They're way more manageable when it comes to the edit, and when you're done, you can just relink them back to the original edit, and that's it. You're all good to go. And you actually save your computer a lot of time and stress. When it came to the actual editing side of this project, I just followed the timesheet that I made earlier. The beauty of taking extra time and effort before you shoot is that it helps you with the edit. I've already written out all the scenes that I'm going to shoot, and they're going to these certain parts of the song, so it's literally just drag and drop. Of course, there were a few things that I had to take a bit of extra time and care when it came to the edit. The green screen, for example, I actually already pre-downloaded those files, so I knew exactly where they were going, so that was pretty easy. But the masking that I did, oh God, the masking that I did. I was a bit too confident when it came to the masking side of things. I thought to myself, great, I could just put a mask around the singer, hit track, and it should be over with in 5 minutes. And yeah, not the case at all. I guess the mask kind of slipped up in the process, and I just had to spend a couple of hours going back, fine-tuning it. And you know, if I had the money, I would have just palmed this off to a VFX guy, but obviously didn't have that budget here, so I just had to do it myself, and I learned a very valuable lesson, which is just spend some extra money on a VFX guy. When it came to the color grading, it was pretty straightforward. I went into the shooting saying to myself that for each scene, I would just shoot at the same exposure level, so I could just put an adjustment layer over that whole scene, chuck the grade that I want over, and there's minimal tweaking involved. Again, if I didn't do that, and if I shot everything at different exposures, the color grading process would have taken me hours longer to do. And that's how I pulled off this really insane project. I think the key takeaway point from this is if you just spend even like an extra week beforehand just properly planning out your video, it'll make everything more streamlined and you'll get such a better product in the end. I know in traditional media that, you know, you might have a producer on board that pulls a lot of these heavy, you know, hard-hitting jobs, but when you're starting out, you're not gonna have that pleasure. And I think it's like a really great way to build your own skills when it comes to multiple different parts of the industry. Once you spend a couple of years doing all your projects all on your own, you really find out where your skills lie. You know, you might be doing a bunch of music videos and think to yourself that you're really good at lighting. That's great. You can hit up higher end productions and get hired as a gaffer. Or you might really love set design, so you might end up on big feature films doing all these crazy set builds. That's what I really love about this industry. There are an endless amount of possibilities of where you can end up, and doing all your projects on your own is a great starting point. You know, spending that extra little bit of time before each project really goes a long way, and you'll just end up with really awesome products. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, give it a big like. I'd really appreciate it. Have a good one, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya!